Alright, art friends, today I'm going to show you how to make some groovy looking logo thingy like this, little buttons and stuff like that. So we're going to get right into it, and then I'm just going to kind of show you the idea, and you're going to get to go around and play with it the way you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly the pieces of this first, and then I'll show you how I broke it down. There's this piece on top that's a shine. There's this piece underneath, which is just a gradient. Put it over here. There's this piece underneath that, which is actually white. And I'll show you that in a minute, and why when you put it over there it looks different. Little mode change, and then the background piece itself, which is just another gradient, slightly different variation of the gradient. So the first thing I did is I started with the gradient. So I'm just going to come over here and show you the gradient I made. You guys can go into gradient, make your own. I kind of did a dark purple to a white to a dark purple, and I just used my gradient tool and dropped it down that way. So that's what I'm going to start with, and I'm going to do a different one. I'm not going to do a square. You guys can do a square. I'm going to do a star tool. I grab the star tool, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it out, and you can see it makes a star. And stars aren't really exciting. And what I realized is that if you click the arrow keys, you can make your star really pointy, and if you click the arrow down key, you can make it less pointy. So that's kind of fun. So I'm going to make my star a little bit more pointy. And then also, if you hold the control key and you zoom in and out, if you go out, it makes it really long pointies, and if you come in close, it makes it less. So I'm going to make mine more like a badge today. So there it is right there. And I'm going to make it a little bigger. Hold down my shift key and just drag that out a little bigger. So that represents my first bottom square, and it's already got the gradient because the gradient was already selected because I was making that gradient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, Control C, Control V. There's easier ways to do this, but that's the best way to do it. I'm going to put it right on top of it, and I'm going to hold my shift key down, and I'm going to shrinkify it just a little bit, about like there. Tap it with my arrow keys so it is about even on all sides. And on this, I'm going to give it my white. This is where it's white here. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and make it totally white. Now, that's not having the same effect, and that's because I have to change the mode that it has here when I put that on top. So what I do is I click on my little graphic, and I come over here to my little transparency window, and I open up transparency, and I'm going to do two things that I did here. I'm going to lighten it, and I'm going to lower the opacity. So I click on it, I change the mode here to lighten, and I bring the opacity down in the 30 range. There it is, and that looks pretty neat, pretty similar to that. So that's how I got that effect. Now, for the next box, I simply copy, Control C, Control V, paste it on top. I'm going to make sure I put this one, because it's copied, it copies exactly the same way, so I make sure I put my mode back to normal and my opacity back up. And I'm going to put that right on top and make that one a little smaller. Drag down holding my shift key. Tap it into place. That's a little too small. I'll go a little bigger. Good. Tap it into place on my arrow keys. Get about where I want it. It's even on all sides. And I'm going to go back to my gradient tool, and I'm actually making a slightly different gradient this time. This one just has a light purple and a dark purple, so I've made a different color gradient. I don't have that white streak in it. I'm just going to pop that in on top there. So that's how I got my third box. Now for the last piece of boxes, I'm going to use my Pathfinder tool. This piece right here. So what I did is I simply copy this, Control C, Control V, exact copy, put it right on top, tap it in with my arrow keys, exact same spot as the other one. Close enough. And I'm going to make an elliptical circle. It doesn't even matter what color it is or anything. And what I'm looking for is this shape, whatever this shape is going to be here. So I'm going to actually cut this circle out using my Pathfinder like we've done on our other projects. So I'm going to kind of see what that shape right there is going to look like. I kind of like that. That's going to look kind of good. So I click on that, shift key, click on that, open up my Pathfinders. It's under Windows if you need it. And I'm just going to click on the second one right here. Boom. And that separates that piece. So there it is. Control Z. Now I can do a couple of things here. I can make it white, play with the transparency, or I could drop in a gradient, which is what I did here. Either way, whichever way you want, however you want it to look, to give that shine look that it's got there. I kind of like this one here because it has a little bit of a transparency of white. It's the same transparency I used here, the white, the purple transparency, but the white here is effective too. Last but not least, I just got my text tool and I just typed in some text. I just use a cool graffiti S. Bring that forward. Or not. I messed up. Anyway, there it is. So I've got a white one there, and I've got a darker purple one, and I just put them next to each other. Anyway, you get the idea. Even with my little mess up there, I don't want to waste any more of your time. You guys get right to it and make some icons, some buttons, play around with this idea, and see what you come up with.